Hello and welcome to another edition of Movie Stop. So as you can probably tell from the title, I didn't get to go see Minions today, nor Elvis. I did some other things today. I went out to a flea market, and then I went out to dinner with my family, so I didn't have time to see both of those movies today. So I will try to catch up on them. I'll probably do it the weekend after I see Thor: Love and Thunder, which will be next week, and I will definitely be in theaters for that one. But I decided to do something different, as you saw with the title. I'm going to talk about the best and worst movies of 2022 so far, because now we're at the halfway point of the year. And you know what? I think I might as well give you something. So that's going to be coming up. But before we do that, I have some movies here I picked up over the last week that I want to show off to you before we get to the feature presentation. Real quick, I'll start off with the one I got from Walmart. I think it was last week I got the Dumb and Dumber 2 movie collection from the Walmart further away from where I live, up in Greensburg. But I found this one at my local Walmart. They didn't have it at the other one, but I picked it up largely again because of the fact that it's two studios on one set here. It's Pacific Rim, the 2 movie collection. As you can see right there, Universal and Warner Brothers. I really don't like Pacific Rim Uprising, but I do like the first movie a lot, and I figured, you know what, for $5, this is more than worth it, just because of the fact that it's two different studios' movies on one collection, just like with the Dumb and Dumber set. But yeah, I didn't like Pacific Rim Uprising all that much, but I did like the first one a lot. And I figured, you know what, pick that up. So there's the back right there. Once again, there's the Universal and Warner Brothers logo on there because the company that puts these out they put out Universal and Warner Brothers titles. So there you go. That's the Pacific Rim collection. This next one I picked up from Macari, and it completes my Bob's Burgers collection until we get to the movie, which comes out on the 19th. Bob's Burgers, the complete 12th season. This has every episode from this past season. It's 2 DVDs, but I did check both DVDs, and all the episodes are on here. It's only $16 on Macari. I had to pick it up because I had the other seasons on DVD, and now I have the collection completed again, like I said, until the Bob's Burgers movies comes out at the end of the month. Let's go to the Amazon pickups next. And a lot of catalog titles this week from Paramount came out this week, including Harlem Nights, which I talked about it in a Time About the Movies episode a while back. I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie, but it's probably going to look nice on Blu-ray. We have another Eddie Murphy movie here making its Blu-ray debut, Boomerang, with Murphy, Robin Givens, and Halle Berry leading a cast that includes David Alan Grier, Martin Lawrence, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt, Chris Rock's in this as well. I remember liking this movie enough, and it's the first time on Blu-ray, so had to get that one. This one I actually got for cheap on Amazon because it's a used copy, and I didn't have it in my collection. The Night at the Museum collection on Blu-ray, all 3 movies on here for about $8, which is not too bad for this. It's a used copy, but all the discs look fine, so figured why not pick that up. And then here's the last of the 3 new Paramount titles I got this week, and that was The First Wives Club, which I think has already been released on Blu-ray, but has never been released on a collection like this, part of the Paramount Presents collection, where you get like the poster inside of here. And you know what? You people can have your Hocus Pocus or not. I'll take the other Bette Midler trio comedy. Thank you very much. If you haven't been looking at my site for the last couple of years or this channel, you might not know that I'm not the biggest fan of Hocus Pocus. But The First Wives Club, yeah, I don't even talk about this movie all that much. This is a really funny movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid in '96. And it's a movie that I've grown to love over the years. It's a very funny movie. And it's a PG-rated rom-com that is not a family-friendly PG. I'm amazed this didn't get a PG-13 rating, obviously, but definitely looking forward to checking this out again on Blu-ray. So, First Wives Club. And then last but not least, from Barnes & Noble, I have one more thing from Best Buy after this. I shouldn't even have said last but not least, but I picked this up because I bought this online because I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the store in time for the sale on their Era Video titles. If you've been watching the last couple of weeks, Era Video's been having a sale on their titles. It's 50% off, and this just came out last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't really remember now, but it was part of their sale. It didn't have it in stores, so I had to go and get it. True Romance, classic Tony Scott, underrated movie. Christian Slater's in this, Patricia Arquette, written by Quentin Tarantino, one of Brad Pitt's early roles. Just a phenomenal movie, great movie all around, has a great cult following. You get You get both a 4K and Blu-ray Steelbook, a booklet, some posters, including a poster of this cover art here, and yeah, it's a great underrated movie. Not a lot of people really talk about this movie. It's a cult. It has a great cult following though, but yeah, I really love this movie a lot. True Romance, great movie. If you haven't seen this already, if you like Quentin Tarantino's work, you'll definitely want to check this out. Even if you like Tony Scott's work, you'll definitely want to check this out. So that was only $35, and it was originally $65, I think. After the no, actually, it was $60. It was $70 originally. After the 50% off sale, it would be $35. Plus, I used my membership, which gives you 10% off all your purchases. So that dropped it down to less than $30. That's a really good deal on that, especially for considering that just came out. And then this just came today. I was shocked that this came out because this doesn't come out until Tuesday. Thank you, Best Buy, for sending this early to me. And why not? It's Edge of Tomorrow. It's another great movie from Tom Cruise, directed by Doug Liman. Has Emily Blunt in it. I saw this movie in theater 3 times, I think, when it came out because it wasn't doing well at the box office, and I was going to take every advantage I could to see it. And yeah, it was one of my favorite movies of 2014. It was one of my favorite movies of the past decade. And I've got the Steelbook for it now. Great movie. If you have not seen this movie, you need to see this movie. And they keep talking about making a sequel, but honestly, I don't know if I want to see a sequel for this. I don't know. I mean, the what we've gotten from Tom Cruise sequels over the last couple of years suggests that maybe this could actually turn out to be really good if it gets a sequel, but I don't know. I mean, I like that this is contained due towards one movie. Keep it like it is, but so there you go. That's Edge of Tomorrow. So with that said, let's get on to the feature presentation. So I'm going to try to rush through this as quickly as I can. I'm going to give quick reviews of these movies here. And like I said, this is going to be my list of the best and worst movies of 2022 so far, since we're now at the halfway point of the year. And I'm going to say the year has been pretty good so far. We've gotten a lot of great movies from all different types of different places, either in theaters or through streaming or on television. TV overall has been pretty decent this year as well. But we're just going to talk about the movies of this year so far. And I'm going to start with my worst movies of 2022 first. I'm going to start with those ones first because it's going to tie back into my top 10 of 2022 so far list. So with that said, let's get right to it. I'm just going to run through them alphabetically. I'll talk about them real quickly, and then we'll move on from there. And I'll leave the best and worst movies for the bottom of the list. So let's start with the first movie on the worst movies list, and that is The 355, which was a movie with Jessica Chastain, Penelope Cruz, Lupita Nyong'o, Fan Bingbing, Diane Kruger, and Sebastian Stan. And this is another, quote, winner, unquote, from Simon Kinberg, who brought us the greatness of X-Men Dark Phoenix. And we all remember how great that movie was. And as bad as this movie is, the story behind what happened with one of the actresses, Fan Bingbing, that is one of those disturbing stories that you really got to look up. I mean, wow, just that story about her, it gets crazy with that story, but the movie itself is just pretty bland, and you've got all these great actresses here, and they're not really given a whole lot to do here. It's a bland script. It's nothing. These thriller aspects are not interesting. The spy aspects are not very interesting. It's just a dull movie that just doesn't work on any level. I was bored watching this movie when I saw it the first time, and it's just like, who really thought this was a good idea? I mean, it's a disappointment. It's a disappointment considering the talent involved, and it just goes to show you why Simon Kinberg shouldn't direct movies. I mean, he can be a decent writer, but when he directs movies, it's almost always a bad call. Speaking of movies that waste its cast and crew all over, The Bubble is my second film that we're talking about. Directed by Judd Apatow, co-written by Judd Apatow. I've always liked Judd Apatow as a comedy maker. I've liked a lot of his directorial movies. I think the only movie that I've really hated up until this was The King of Staten Island. And even that, I was just kind of like, it's alright, I guess. But this was just terrible. I mean, you wasted not only a really good director and a really good writer in Pam Brady, who also did Hamlet 2 and the South Park movie. And the cast that includes Karen Gillan, Fred Armisen, Maria Bakalova, David Duchovny, Keegan-Michael Key, Leslie Mann, Kate McKinnon, Pedro Pascal, Peter Serafinowicz. I mean, this is a great cast, and this is a movie that you should have been able to make fun of. You should have been able to make fun of Hollywood and how they were making movies during the pandemic, cutting corners to make it look like something bigger was how they made this movie together, and how they were trying to do it while avoiding the pandemic. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. None of the stuff in here is funny at all. And for Judd Apatow, this is a major disappointment for him because, like I said, he had been hitting bullseyes for much of his directing career at this point. But this is one of those movies where they just missed the ball altogether, and it failed miserably. Plain and simple, it just failed as a comedy miserably. Next up, Deep Water, with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas from Knives Out and No Time to Die, directed by Adrian Lyne of Fatal Attraction fame, as well as Unfaithful. Disney's first erotic film in 28 years since Color of Night with Bruce Willis, because, of course, Disney is now owns Fox, and they bought this one. They had this movie with them, so they premiered it exclusively on Hulu. And boy, this was a dull movie. Like, the biggest problem with most erotic thrillers is that they try to sell you on the sex, but they really don't have anything else story-wise or character-wise. Everybody else in these movies are just so bland and forgettable. The sex scenes may be hot, but the script is not. And this is depressing coming from Sam Levinson, who's also one of the creators of Euphoria. And this is a great cast overall, but man, this is just a boring movie. And these two characters you're supposed to be like, and want to see them get naked and all that, they just have nothing to do. They just have bland personalities to them. There's nothing about them. They speak in this monotone voice throughout the entire movie. They never get intense or excited or any way, shape, or form. And it's just boring. It's like, not even the sex scenes in this movie are that interesting whatsoever. It's just a movie that, it's another one of those examples why the erotic thriller is such a tough thing to get right altogether. Like, honestly, the best erotic thriller I think we've ever seen is probably, and I completely forgot the name of it, Basic Instinct, with Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone. But that was almost 30 years. That was 30 years ago, and nobody's been able to top that. I mean, I guess maybe Gone Girl might be an example, but even Gone Girl's not really an erotic thriller. But there are scenes like that where there are erotic elements to it, but I know I'm probably forgetting some other ones too, but that's Basic Instinct's the first one that came to my head. But yeah, Deep Water just didn't work. And even if you put this in theaters, this thing would have bombed at the box office badly. So even when you put it on Hulu, it just doesn't work all the way through. Next up, Firestarter, a remake that's so terrible that movie theaters, when this played, couldn't even tell the difference between the remake's poster or the original's poster, because there were literally photos of people taking the original poster, the Drew Barrymore one, putting it on their theaters, putting it on their now showing screens, even though this is supposed to be the new version. It's that lazy of a movie, and it's a disappointment, really, because you have this really good movie, and you have Zac Efron, a chance to show his acting abilities with a kid that he has, and it just doesn't work. I mean, he's trying his best, and so's this girl that's playing the lead character in this. I think her name is Ryan Carey Armstrong. But the script is just so bad. I mean, it's just a lazy movie, and they waste so many great, talented people in this. Kurtwood Smith's in this, so is Gloria Reuben from ER, and it just doesn't work. I mean, Blumhouse, this is one of those times when Blumhouse, when they try to think that they have something like a hit, it just doesn't work out. I mean, for every black phone, there's a Firestarter, and that's exactly what this is. Just watch the original with Drew Barrymore in it. Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Why the Fuck Are We Still Making These Movies Anyway? Nobody cares about the Harry Potter movies anymore. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking that I'm crazy for saying that, but I'm sorry. Nobody cares about these movies. I mean, at the beginning, maybe, but when you saw the first movie, I was extremely disappointed by it because they didn't really do anything different. They didn't really do anything to expand on the Harry Potter universe. And these movies get worse and worse with every single film. It's just like, nobody wants to see these movies anymore, and yet Warner Brothers is still just like, nope, we're still going to keep making Harry Potter because that's the biggest cash cow we have right now. And it's just like, come on, man. It's just like, there's nothing here. I mean, every single movie they do, it just gets worse and worse. And even when they fix something that should have been done in the first couple of movies, it's already too late. Like, nobody really cares about this movie anymore, and it shows, because this is the lowest grossing film of the Harry Potter series so far. I mean, Harry Potter's still going to be a thing, but you got to do something different with it. You can't just keep bringing back everybody from the previous films and keep expecting great successes all the time. You have to let people expand on this universe. Like David Yates, he's a great director, but you've got to get somebody else to come in there. You've got to get somebody else besides J.K. Rowling to write these scripts. You can't just bring back people like Steve Kloves, who wrote a previous Harry Potter movie, and bring them back in this. It's not going to work. It's a movie series that really is one of the most boring film series out there. The Hobbit movies were at least trying to do something, and for the most part they worked. Every one of these movies, these Fantastic Beasts movies, gets worse and worse with every single film that comes out, and I just can't take it anymore. I don't want to see another one of these movies unless they get somebody else involved in this. Like, really, get somebody else involved with these movies, and then I might come back to this series. But until then, I'm done. I'm out of here. Home Team, the movie where Kevin James thought he could pull off Sean Payton, and he failed miserably at it. I mean, Adam Sandler had a good year so far this year with the movie that he starred in, Hustle, which was actually pretty good. I didn't put it on my best of the year list, unfortunately, but I did think it was a lot better than a lot of people expected it to be. Meanwhile, here's Kevin James just doing what Kevin James does, has to do to make a complete ass of himself. And hey, Taylor Lautner, Rob Schneider, what can go wrong here? Pretty much everything. They took an idea that could have worked maybe, but I'm sorry, the idea of Kevin James playing Sean Payton of the New Orleans Saints, no, you lost me there. And it's just like, this movie crashed and burned at the beginning of the year, and you can see why. It's a movie that just didn't work all the way, at any point whatsoever, and yeah, bad movie. Jurassic World Dominion. I mean, this movie, even though it is the worst of the Jurassic World series, I still don't think it's the worst of the Jurassic Park series. I'm sorry. Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 are still the worst Jurassic Park movies to me. I mean, I can't stand those movies. And this new movie, Dominion, made my honorable mentions list. So, because honestly, as much as I hate this movie, it did still have elements that I did like about it. I like seeing the new generation and the old generation coming together in the end. There were still some moments in there that I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. That's an interesting way to go. But really, I'm glad that this series is at least over. It's looking like this series is over, but if you're gonna do another one of these, just blend it together with the Fast and Furious series. Just go all at it. I mean, you have both franchises there. They're the top franchises at your studio Universal. Give us a Fast and Furious Jurassic World crossover movie, for God's sakes, please. Lightyear. No, this movie was not a box office failure because of a 2-second same-sex kiss scene. No, it wasn't a flop because Tim Allen got canceled by Disney and was replaced by Chris Evans. No, the movie wasn't good. I mean, there's parts in there that I thought were okay, but I thought were kind of decent. But the movie just was a huge disappointment. This was a movie I was really looking forward to, and there's only 3 things I liked about this movie. I liked the animation. I did like Chris Evans' portrayal of Buzz Lightyear, and I liked the character of Socks. I thought those were the 3 best aspects of the movie. And now I can't remember their names now. I also like the characters of Alicia and Izzy, played by Uzo Aduba and Keke Palmer. But the movie itself is just a massive, massive disappointment. This is supposed to be the movie that Andy saw that made him want to Buzz Lightyear so much, and this movie would not have flown in 1995. This is a 2022 animated film disguised as a 1990s movie or even an 80s movie. It misses the point of what they were trying to sell us from the very beginning. That stupid twist at the end with Zurg, that just took me out of the movie altogether. I walked out at first and really just thought about not coming back in there, but I went back in there to finish watching the movie. And the movie even rushed itself out of there because it's just like, we've accomplished our mission of selling toys and all that. Bye. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. If you want to see a better Buzz Lightyear movie that would have explained why Andy loves this character so much, go watch the 2000 Buzz Lightyear Star Command animated series movie and look at that series. That's the thing that made Andy love Buzz Lightyear, not this piece of garbage. I'm sorry, it's a piece of garbage. And despite the things I said about it, it is a piece of garbage. It's a disappointment by Pixar. I expect a lot better from the studio, honestly. Marry Me. You ever see that episode of The Simpsons where they take a crayon out of Homer's brain and it makes him smart, and he goes to a movie, a rom-com starring Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, and everybody else is laughing but Homer isn't, and they turn on him? Thank God this movie wasn't in theaters, because I honestly would have been that guy in the theater saying that this isn't funny. It's just like, and it really isn't. It's a lazy rom-com featuring two very capable actors in a very cliched riddled script. It just doesn't work at all. It's just like, you expect a lot better from these actors, and I don't know. To me, it didn't work, and thank God this wasn't in theaters, because this theater would have turned on me if I said that this movie was not funny. Because, I mean, yeah, this movie just wasn't funny. I'm sorry, it wasn't a funny movie. It was a very generic, very cliched riddle, very lackluster rom-com, and I didn't like a single moment of it. Morbius. No. I'm not getting on the Morbius train. I'm not getting on this trend of, let's make Morbius more popular than it is, even though the movie itself is a steaming pile of shit. No, really, it's a steaming pile of shit. I just watched it a couple weeks ago, and I still don't get what people were thinking when they were saying that this movie deserves a lot more attention than it gets. The director was so brave for spoiling the movie on Twitter before the movie came out. It's just like, what is wrong with you people? It's just like, don't you remember when the X-Men Origins Wolverine got leaked out when that movie came out? And then do you think there was a lot of people there who was just like, no, this movie should get this huge, much more appraisal than it actually does. No, that movie is still terrible, and this movie is still terrible. I'm sorry, but this movie just doesn't work. This is an insult to everything that the Sony Spider-Man deal was setting up, because not only is this movie bad, but it retcons different things from the Marvel Studios Spider-Man movies, especially towards the end, where it's just like, what are you doing? I mean, I'm surprised Disney hasn't hit Sony with a lawsuit on the stupid stuff that they did with this, but Sony, you're stupid for buying into the BS on this, because they were stupid enough to put this movie back in 1,000 theaters, thinking that the internet buzz on this was going to change the history of this movie. This is going to make another $100 million, and just like, it didn't do any of that. It would quickly crash and burn for the second time in a row, and it's just like, oh my God, what a terrible, terrible movie this was. And speaking of Sony, Uncharted. For a movie that stays close to the game, it may have done it a little too much, because yeah, there are times when when the movie looks like the game, and it could look cool, but it definitely looks like they're just taking scenes from the game and just putting it into a script that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's a very cliched script. I mean, I'll give Tom Holland credit for what he wasn't too bad as Nathan Drake. Neither was Mark Wahlberg. But they were horrible. They were miscast in this movie. Like, Mark Wahlberg could have played Nathan Drake 10 years ago, honestly. But yeah, this was another one that was in my honorable mentions list, because there were things about it that I was just kind of like, okay, that was cool. Okay, that was pretty interesting. But other than that, though, yeah, this movie is it's not very good. So, and now let's get to the #1 worst movie of 2022 so far, which is The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. How dare you, Disney and Blue do this to Blue Sky Studios? You took one of their biggest franchise and spun it off into this ugly-looking movie. I mean, this is an ugly-looking movie. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's finished most of the time. The animation is so choppy. The biggest star they have in this movie is Simon Pegg, because they couldn't... Apparently, Simon Pegg was the only person they could get for this. They couldn't get Ray Romano. They couldn't get Dennis Leary. They couldn't get John Leguizamo, Queen Latifah, Sean William Scott, Josh Peck. They couldn't get any of these guys, but we can get Simon Pegg in here, and it's just not a good movie. And the movie doesn't even focus on Buck himself. He's barely in the movie, and it's just like, the quality of the animation is terrible. They made this movie without Blue Sky Studios even knowing about it. Scrat's not in this movie because of one of the funniest reasons ever, because somebody owns the rights to the character and they couldn't get the rights to bring him into this movie. That's how bad this is. When your top mascot is under somebody else's name and they won't even sell it back to you so you can put him in this movie, that's sad. That's really sad. But thankfully, we got the Ice Age Scrat Tales series, which actually was made before this movie came out. and it's a much better feature from Ice Age than this movie is. And it's not even a feature; it's just a series of shorts. But you could tell that the people who made the Scrat Tales shorts knew what makes this franchise work. I mean, those shorts are so good; they're very funny. I mean, they focus on Scrat and this little kid he finds, and he basically adopts him as his son, and it leads to a lot of good, funny moments. There are a lot of moments in there that had me laughing when I saw it the first time. So yeah, if you want to see something much better from the Ice Age franchise in 2022, go to Disney Plus and watch Ice Age Scrat Tales. Do not watch the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. So there you go. That's the worst. That's the worst of 2022 so far. Now let's get on to the best of 2022 so far. First up, we have the Adam Project, and you know, Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy, let these two guys work together more, because I've been really liking the collaboration so far. They did Free Guy, and I really like this movie a lot. This is a really surprisingly entertaining movie. It has, as I mentioned, Ryan Reynolds. Walker Scobell plays the kid version of this character that Reynolds plays. Mark Ruffalo's in this, Jennifer Garner, Catherine Keener, Zoe Saldana. They're all very good in this movie, and it's a fun movie. It reminds me a lot of an 80s style family adventure, and you can tell because, of course, Sean Levy is one of the main guys on Stranger Things, and he really shows it in this. He can really put an 80s feel on a modern retelling of a story here. This story has been told over and over again. This is pretty much frequency for kids, and it's a very fun movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend checking it out. Next up, The Bad Guys. This is the latest film from DreamWorks Animation, and it comes after they've had a couple of misfires over the last couple of years. Like Trolls World Tour wasn't bad. The New Age was okay, but the Boss Baby Family Business was not that great either. This is a nice return to form for them, and I really like that it looks like they're adopting the style of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in a lot of their movies, because in this and in the upcoming Puss in Boots movie, you can see that unique animation style that Into the Spider-Verse had being put into this, and it's a fun movie. It's a very fun movie with some great voice acting by Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Awkwafina, Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramos, Zazie Beetz, Alex Borstein. Just a great cast all around. The visuals are very nice. It has a very formulaic story, but I like that they took a lot of inspiration from different crime films and anime series like Beastars, Pulp Fiction, Ocean's 11, Lupin the Third. A lot of that is in here, and the animation is so chaotic and so insane that you can't help but really enjoy what you're seeing on screen here. It's a fun movie. It's definitely one of the more enjoyable DreamWorks films I've seen from them in a long time. It's a really great movie. Definitely check it out if you can. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. I don't think I'd ever say that in 2022 I'd rather trust Beavis and Butthead in space in a movie than I would say about Buzz Lightyear in a movie. But Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Beavis and Butthead, of course, are back, and thank God for it, because we really need them right now. I mean, they really have not missed a beat. Mike Judge really has not missed a beat as a filmmaker. I mean, he still can make this comedy that made Beavis and Butthead so popular in the 90s work so well nowadays. It's a funny movie. It's great to watch. The animation overall is actually pretty decent. It's definitely digital, but it looks very much in line with the later years of King of the Hill, kind of like digital animation that he was using. And it's a little bit I'd say it's funnier than the 2011 reboot, which I like the 2011 reboot enough, but this is a really funny movie. It's a really funny movie that actually has some heart to it. Like, I'm actually surprised on the heartfelt moments they have in this movie, and it's interesting the way that they handle it because it's Beavis and Butthead. It's not, I'll say this, it doesn't play like you would think in a movie like this, but it is really something special. If you haven't seen Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, go check it out on Paramount Plus. It's a ton of fun, and you really need to see it, because we need some good laughs right now in the universe. And another great TV adaptation, the Bob's Burgers movie. Yeah, I saw this movie opening weekend, and I really loved it. I really loved that it's an extended episode of the series, but a really good extended episode of the series. The animation is so crisp and fluent. The comedy is very funny. There's a lot of great moments in the film that just work so well. Even if you're not the biggest Bob's Burgers fan, you'll still find a lot to enjoy about this movie. This movie tugs at your heartstrings several times in this movie, and it's just a really solid film. It was great to see 2D animation on the big screen again, and it shamed me that it was such a disappointment that I didn't get a chance to see this movie in theaters again when I had the chance. I could have gone the week after it came out, but Unfortunately, I didn't do it, and I regret that decision. But it's going to come out on HBO Max and Hulu in a couple of weeks, as well as on DVD and Blu-ray. So I'm definitely going to watch it again multiple times before the year is done. I really love that movie a lot. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Sam Raimi comes into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he basically gets to do a Sam Raimi movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, this is very much... The film plays out very much like an MCU film, but there are those moments where even the Marvel Cinematic Universe says to Sam Raimi, okay, we'll let you do what... You can do whatever you want now. And there are moments in here that are so very much a Sam Raimi type of scenario that it just works so well. The camera work sometimes feels very Raimi-ish. The visuals in here, the darker elements. It's a really fun movie. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I like it a lot better than Doctor Strange. Even though I really like the original Doctor Strange, I like what Sam Raimi brought to this world. I'm really excited to see what they do with the characters they introduce here, with the situations they develop in here. And you got Bruce Campbell punching himself throughout the movie. So, win-win. Everything Everywhere All at Once, which basically is just a showcase to prove that, hey, Michelle Yeoh is one of our greatest living actresses right now, and she should be up for an Academy Award nomination for this, which she should. And yeah, this was a fun movie. A24 has made a lot of great movies, but this might be their best film, honestly. This is a really solid film. Visually, it looks incredible. It definitely takes a lot of the thunder away from Multiverse of Madness because they do explore more multiverses in this. But like I said, it's a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun to watch these different universes collide in here. And like I said, Michelle Yeoh really gets to showcase her talents in this, acting-wise. She's really good in this movie. And like I said, she really needs to be up for an Oscar nomination this year. If not, the Oscars are just... It just keeps proving to show you that the Oscars are just not the same as they used to be if they don't recognize this movie come next year. So yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Jackass Forever. Speaking of people from MTV who haven't really lost a beat, the Jackass crew can still be really funny, and they can still bring you really funny sketches, really funny gross-out moments, really funny extreme stunts, and grooming a new generation of Jackass people that I really want to see in a future series or movie. I mean, the new people they bring in here, they're a ton of fun to watch. They're very likable. They fit very well with the old cast, and it's just everything you want in a Jackass movie. What more can you say? Jackass Forever, it's an amazing film. I mean, I watched this movie several times since it's come out on Paramount Plus and Blu-ray. I love it. I love it so much. I love the Jackass franchise, and this is just the best. This is just continuing to give us what we love so much. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The first movie was one of the biggest surprises of 2020, and this movie surprisingly found a way to outdo itself. It's a very fun movie. It expands on the universe of Sonic the Hedgehog. You can tell that these people were given the opportunity to do whatever they want after the first movie was such a success, and they really succeeded in a number of ways. It's bringing in Knuckles and also bringing in Tails in here. Great decision. It just works so well. It's great seeing all these characters working together on screen. Jim Carrey's a blast in this. There were moments here and there where just kind of like, okay, this is where it's going to peter off, and then it would slowly but surely work its way back up. And then overall, it's a much better. I like it a lot better than the first movie, and it does what a good sequel should do. It ups the ante. It gives the fans what they want to see, and it makes you excited to see what they're going to do next with the third film. I can't wait to see what they do with Sonic 3. Top Gun Maverick. Now, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Top Gun, I've got to admit, Tom Cruise, you completely sold me on this. I mean, this was a fun movie to see on the big screen. The flying sequences are great to watch, but not only that, the script is much better than the first movie. This movie even acknowledges that the first movie is really not all that as great as people make it out to be. There's callbacks to the original film that are nicely put in. A great scene with Val Kilmer as Iceman. Tom Cruise is very good in this. The new recruits in here are very good. The new cast overall is great in this. It was one of the biggest surprises of the year. I did not expect to enjoy this movie as much as I did. And honestly, and it's amazing that it's still one of the highest grossing films of the year so far, and hasn't really lost a beat at the box office at this point. I think at this point it's made about $570 million just here in America, and it still hasn't really had that big drop off yet. It's still making at least $30 million over the last month. So people keep coming back to see it, and for good reason. It's a pretty damn good movie. Even if you didn't like the original Top Gun, you'll find a lot to love in Top Gun Maverick, for sure. Turning Red. Disney Pixar, their third film to go straight to Disney Plus, which is a shame because it's honestly the much better movie that came out from Pixar in 2022. Probably one of my favorite Pixar movies in a long time. I've liked Soul, I've liked Luca, I've liked Toy Story 4, I've liked Onward, but this is probably the best one I've seen from Disney Pixar since Coco. Why do I keep saying Disney Pixar? Because it's just like, but you get what I mean. Like Turning Red, it's just a ton of fun. You like these characters a lot. You could relate to these characters even if you're not a young girl like Melee is in this movie. The red panda stuff is just amazing. It's hilarious. It's nicely animated. You can see the fluff on this panda every time Melee turns into a panda, and it's just a ton of fun. It's a hilarious movie. It really took chances and paid off big time. It's a fun, exciting movie. I love it so much. It's my second favorite movie of the year. And what movie could top that? Let's talk about my number one movie of 2022 so far, which is The Batman. Robert Pattinson donning the cape, stepping into the role of Bruce Wayne. He was one of the great things about this movie, but this movie overall was just an amazing feat. Like, the movie really is a towering achievement that we're going to be remembering as one of the best movies of the decade, of this decade, the 2020s. It's going to be tough to top what they've done here. It's an amazing, towering achievement. One of the best Batman movies ever made. One of the best superhero movies ever made. One of the best movies of the decade. One of the best movies of the year. It's just a great, great movie. It's dark, gritty, violent. It's not afraid to break boundaries. It's Matt Reeves delivering another home run of a movie. Now, granted, the third act does kind of drag a little too long, but it never does to the point where you're just getting tired of what you're seeing on screen. But it's a great, great movie. I can't really express how much I love this movie so much. And this movie has a lot of great Oscar-caliber performances in this. Like, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone needs to get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in 2023. He's amazing in this movie. He's really one of the best things about this film. He definitely deserves to get nominated. And the rest of the cast is very good. Like I said, Pattinson's great. Zoe Kravitz is very good. Paul Dano is very good as the Riddler. And it's Jeffrey Wright's great as Commissioner Gordon. It's a great movie. Like I said, it's it's definitely going to be one of the best movies of the decade, and it's going to be hard to top as the best movie of 2022. Like the rest of the year really has to give me something so incredible to top this movie as my favorite film of the year. And that is The Batman, my favorite film of 2022. So those are my lists of the best and worst movies of 2022 so far. And honestly, the rest of the year is really going to have some really good movies to top what I have as the top movie of 2022 and the worst movie of 2022. But I've seen movies that could go either way, so we'll see what happens when we get to December and I run down my entire list for the year. And so on that note, thank you guys for watching this episode. Tomorrow on the channel, we start a new week of Time About the Movies episodes, starting with January 25th of 1991. And then going all the way to, I believe, March 2nd, 1991. So we're going to have some interesting movies to talk about there as always. So keep checking back on the channel every day if you want to see the latest new episodes on that. But until then, thank you guys for watching this episode of Movie Stop. If you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page with 2 past episodes. And I'll see you guys for the next video. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, take care. As I knock my microphone.